For Liberty and Economics Review and libertyandeconomics.com with Nick Sorrentino. Okay, I want to talk about the economy as a natural system again. Pardon me. So, I talked about the economy in post past as like a forest. Today, I want to use a different analogy, and that is a river. And basically, what I think is that central banks are entities that essentially try to build berms along rivers. Okay, the economic river. Um, we as humans, we don't like chaos. We don't like periodic flooding. All right, we don't like the river spinning off in some way that is not conducive with our property, lines. So what do? We try to build dikes and try to make sure the river stays within its bounds. Great. Well, the thing is, that can work for a while. But eventually, the river always jumps its banks, right? And it floods into places that it should have never flooded, just by virtue of the fact that much more water is now flowing, over the banks because the berms were erected in the first place. Well, that's what the central banks do, and that's what they're doing right now. So they built up these huge berms through the manipulation of interest rates and so on. But what we're seeing now is that the economy is bursting. It's jumping these dams. It's bursting through the dikes in Greece, um, other places, Portugal, California. And the thing is, the flood that will now happen is going to be much, much worse because the central banks tried to control the river that they can't control. Whereas you might have a flood, a very simple, short-lived flood before, a recession, short, easily corrected by the flow of the economic river. Now, all bets are off, baby. The river has overflowed the massive dams and it's going into the countryside and it's going a long way. And that's our situation right now. We don't let the economy do what it needs to do. We try to make the economy bend to us. What we need to recognize is that we have to bend to the economy. I think it's a fundamental outlook on life, at least from an economics perspective. So, bend, go with the flow, embrace the Tao of economics instead of the rigid, in my opinion, backward approach that we now embrace with regard to economics. The berms will never hold long term. But we can understand the river. Anyway, enough of that analogy. For libertyandeconomics.com, I'm Nick Sorrentino.